be rich. That would be great. So that's how it started. So I made in the first year like 2.5, 2.6 million or something like that on revenue. You guys do the math. And I thought, wow, that's more than I expected. That's cool. So what did I do? I kind of like, it was smooth sailing from there, right? Renovated my house in my lunch breaks, I had a lot of other things to do than to try to work on myself. So then the second year, kind of like, again, the smooth sailing. And I kind of like thought it's going to be basically the same again as the year before. And I always felt like, dude, I'm not even pushing the gas pedal down. I'm not even working on myself to try to get better. So, and with this opportunity, actually, yeah, I thought, and looking at the other guys that follow me, who are thankfully not here right now, I see a couple of guys, by the way, I think you are doing already much better than I did. So that's an honor to see that you guys did too, and hopefully you can pay back and teach me things. But so that being said, the situation that when I was looking at myself the end of last year and basically closing the year as the year before, I really thought like, wow, that's kind of like double improvement. No, it's a cool life. We're making 200 grand, 250 grand a year. And then I thought, what's my purpose actually? So I kind of like looked into myself and thought, you could do so much more just by, maybe working on yourself a little bit. So that's why I really kind of like researched then. It was Christmas time, kind of like around this time where we get slow anyways. And I thought, use that time when we get slow to work on yourself because you have more time on your hands anyways. Instead of sitting on the phone all day long and looking, how other people on vacation or something like that, or stupid car videos, I researched, like these old guys, what I was used to follow back then in books before we get all these, YouTube stuff, like Zig Ziglar and all that. So all that slowly came back in my mind, and I started to look them up, purchase probably 40 books all about sales. Some of them I read actually now, some are still reading for me. So I told myself, read a book every month a new book. And then, how the algorithm works on Google, once you research a couple of things, it pops up everywhere on your Facebook, on YouTube searches and all that. So I came across a couple of other guys who are doing very well in sales and they're in different industries. And I didn't really find anybody who's really in the home improvement industry. You'll find a lot of, stuff out there who talks about car sales and all that, which is kind of like a different way, I would say, how we sell. But it all has its purpose there. And what I learned is you can actually grab the gold nugget from everybody, even if it's not your same line of work, right? Same industry. So I kept on looking up people and listening to them. And, the best time I wanted to make out of that is either while I was working out. I didn't listen to music anymore because I was motivated already. I didn't need all that. So whenever I was working out in my basement or my gym now, I was listening to that. And that started also to make my car kind of like a university of years, what we always say, right? So instead of listening to the news, stupid politics, people are picked something off because of some stuff happening in the world. I stopped listening to all that because it also, feeds your brain in a negative way. So what I did was I subscribed to all these people who I started to follow on YouTube and listen to those. It's not that nobody is really the holy grail. Like, this is the switch. This is this one thing. What really now you become a millionaire. It's not how it works. But what I learned is you can actually learn from everybody a little bit. And so basically, while I was driving, it's an hour drive to most customers anyways. It was an hour of research, an hour of teaching me something. And it was great. So it was not wasted time. And then an hour back home. And then I also started to not just listen to this, but also to kind of like translate it to our industry. Because I have not found that anything was really for the home improvement industry. So kind of like translated that, or how would it sound if I say it? Because of what we sell, right? So I started to work on that. And I also made it a habit. Every time I left the customer, if I sold or didn't sell, I always tried to kind of analyze why I sold, what was it actually, or what was it why I didn't sell. So kind of like try to figure it out, because when you get the objection, the most heard of objection is I got to think about it. Well, there's always something behind that. So what did I miss in the process why they were unsure to move forward? Because if somebody says I, don't want to move forward, I got to think about it, it's always they're not sure about something. Either it's you, or maybe that you cannot provide the results they're really looking for, or something like that. So I started to analyze all that. Long story short, I started to work with myself. Um, Invested in it a little bit, into inner circle stuff, like, I don't know if you have researched anything on YouTube. There are really good guys out there. They give a lot of content for free, what I highly recommend to look at. Got me already a step ahead. And then I also partnered up with some of them and became friends with them, like really like face to face, visited them, got invited in like some inner circle. So because I made it, it's kind of like my, I would say, uh, mission to get better. Because why not? I mean, what else you want to do? And money comes on its own. And I mean, chase the money, you will never reach it. It's just running after it. But if you really try to become better and make it your hobby or your purpose, your calling, because there's so many people maybe depending on you. I have 6 kids, so there's a lot of dependence on me. 3 dogs and a cat. So yes, hold on. So again, and just to step one step back real quick. Once you really reach a level, and that's what I thankfully got very quickly with this opportunity here, and also living in Machine where the cost of living is so much lesser. Once you reach a level where you make double than your expenses, dude, that's smooth sailing right there. But if you are like many on this planet, just paying the bills, the check comes in, and as soon as it drops the bank account, it evaporates because all the bills are paid, and then you still struggle through the next paycheck. That's a hard living. So that's the first thing what I taught my kids. You got to make double than what you expense, and then it's smooth sailing. Then you can invest. Then you can invest in yourself. Get a better job or something like that. Okay. So you're not my kids. I don't want to go too much into those details, but that's the philosophy behind it. Now, generally, after all this explanation, what we should do today is go through the close. I've heard, right? That's today's subject. There's a lot of things before we actually get there, as you know. Obviously, starts from. Oh, okay. Use one of those. Starts from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then perhaps 6. And what this is basically, this is just me doing this in my head right now. These are the steps where you lead the customer, go with the customer. So first is the greeting. Second is the inspection. The next one, for me personally, is a presentation. And then it's the close. I hope I didn't miss anything. You don't ask questions? What? Yeah, well, that's in between. And then hopefully paperwork, and then customer service, and maybe get, if they only work with a couple of windows, maybe get them. But what I'm trying to explain here is that basically there are 1,000 ways to mess this up. You can screw this up all the way from the start, from the middle, at the end. There are also 1,000 ways to make it right. And what gets you then to the close, where you have the paperwork and so forth, you make actually money. So what I'm explaining today is just basically this part here, the close. And I'm not saying that what I do or how I do it is the perfect way. It's just I changed it everything to this what I'm doing, and it worked phenomenal. Maybe I work on it a little bit more, fine tune it, and it's getting better hopefully. But that's something what helped me. There was an aha moment actually. Whenever, and this is a quick story I got to before I present all this close. I really need to explain real quick how I got there. because what I saw every time, and it was right from the get go when I started here, I was kind of like afraid to show the customer these big numbers. I was almost embarrassed, like, that's how I presented it, kind of like open the laptop, let's see how much it is. And, 50,000. Well, don't worry about it. We can do better. Bam, 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 bam. I pushed all the discounts in there. Hey, look, it's just 35. Want to do it? Yeah, I got to think about that. Right. So, and then, all right, call me. And then I was gone. So the whole process of this close sequence was, I don't know, 5 minutes, and I was gone. I mean, I'm still close 2.5, 2.67 million or something like that. But I was just in the mindset, dude, this is way too expensive. And we had to talk about that too, right? A couple of days ago, you called me and we talked about the expense, but you really have to change the mindset about that. And one thing, what I was thankful for when they sent me to Minnesota, actually, to the manufacturing plant. That was another eye opener where we thought, dude, there's so much behind this. That is truly the best window in the market. And there was one another stepping stone where I changed my mindset about the price. And look, I mean, I closed deals in California with solar and roof and windows all combined, like $300,000. So I was not afraid of closing big deals, but I had this mindset because every time I'm a do-it-yourselfer, so I work at my house. When I go to Home Depot, they know me by name and I know the whole inventory. And I always pass this white little shitty, window, $500. So it's like this big. It's a cheap ASS vinyl window. And it stands there, and it's like a sticker on it, what looks like a star. At $500, kind of like, buy me, I'm just $500. So when other customers see that too, some people go to Home Depot and they see stuff like that, or they're researching the internet, right? And that's what I was perceived to. I was like, dude, if we charge like 5 times of that in a good day, how do you overcome that? If you have that mindset, how do you want to close them on our deal? So that mindset really changed a lot. Like I said, when I was in Minnesota, where I really saw the quality and the engineering and the technology. I mean, the whole thing, what goes in our window, it was mind blowing. I wanted that window now in my house. And then there's another thing, what kind of like, helped me to switch my mind thinking was when I bought my house a couple of weeks, 2 years ago almost, and I started to work in my house. Obviously, time is money, right? So certain things I did myself, and I don't know if you guys know that already, but I'm German. One bad thing being a German is we want precision or we don't do it. And the second thing is my dad was a lawyer, so it's another when, right? So I grew up like that. Everything has to be in order, it has to be good. So that being said, when I worked on my own house and I laid the tiles in my bathroom, I had all kinds of lasers and all that, and it was perfect. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. Now, my wife, honey-do list got bigger and bigger. And then she said, you don't have time. You got to go make money. Let's pay somebody to do the next bathroom. And we have 3 baths and kitchen. And again, so now I had to trade my money with labor for somebody else who I'd never met before. And they don't hold your hand and say, come on, show you the neighbors where I did the bathroom. You can look at this. Doesn't work like that, right? So you have to trust their word. And obviously, me being a cheap guy, I didn't go with a bid for like they wanted to charge like $30,000 to do my basement, the drywall and so forth. My material is $5,000. I do that on 5 weekends, So that's my thinking behind it. So again, that's the background story. I changed my thinking about that too. So needless to say, I went the cheap way and got somebody who quoted me $3,500 for tiling my bathroom. Guess what happened? The first guy, I paid $3,500, half down, and then the other half after supposedly he was done, never showed up after he demolished the whole thing. And he had now half of the money, right? So that's one thing. He never showed up again. And then I was almost thinking, dude, I do it myself, right? If he doesn't come up. Now then my wife again talked me into that. No, let's hire another guy. Okay. He didn't want to pay for what the other guy demolished already. So that it was now $4,000. Dude, now we're already $7,000 for $6,000 down the rate. So I let him do the job, and he was referred for somebody we know. Okay. But oh boy, when I came home and he said, I'm done, I'll see you the next time, call me if you need anything else. I walked through the bathroom, and I'm not kidding. I hit my toe on some tiles, and I went, oh, dude, come on. So I looked down and said, dude, that's a quarter inch of a difference. So long story short, I was not happy with what he did. So I called him. Guess how that went?
Still wait for a call back.
Yeah.
Voicemail.
I guess my phone number is blocked, right? So, because once it's down, it's down. It doesn't make money if he fixes it now, right? So basically what I'm telling by this is all the things what can go wrong went wrong. And to just finish it up, I did my best myself, yeah. But on that note, so this is why it's good to have a conversation with the customer throughout the whole presentation as well. Okay. And if you find somebody like me who went through all that, they will tell you all about it, like what I just, got on you guys, what I went through, and let them talk about that because they feel the pain. They feel the pain again. And if they had never had contractors on the house, congratulate them and say, don't make these mistakes. What I did, and you can use my story and, just tell that. But there's so many things what goes in our pricing, which is, again, these qualified workers we have, the crews we have are phenomenal. And then also, if something is wrong, I mean, I see it not all the time. We don't have many issues, but a year later, somebody calls me, oh, there's something off the tracks. Can we send somebody over? We send somebody over. We take care of it. So all these things is just amazing to me. So again, I'm sold even more and more and more over the time to our windows. And now I have actually the mindset, and you can quote me on that. I don't even care how much our windows cost. You really got to think about how much does it cost you to not go with the new warehouse, right? I mean, it costs me double and triple what I've done with the bathrooms otherwise. Just think about that and try to, if one of you guys might have that feeling, we have kind of like priced out there in the market. Oh, honestly, we could be $5,000 more per contract sold. I would still sell it with the same. I mean, don't take that up there. Only if the commission goes double, all right? So, but again, this mindset change helped me to not be embarrassed anymore about the numbers. Again, I think this was kind of like a big deal for me, not to be embarrassed anymore. So again, when I presented the numbers before, I rushed through it. I was embarrassed. Oh yeah, it's 80,000. But you know what? We have discounts. So hold the horses and put all the numbers in. Went to the bottom dollar, and I said, "Sounds good. Fit in your budget. Want to go for that?" Well, I had some success, but that was embarrassing. So then with that mindset changed, I also learned through all my, self-development, everything what I'm doing behind the scene, where I'm trying to get better. Learned also to slow things down and to really take my time with the numbers. And that's the closer I'm about to show you. And I don't know how much different it is compared to what you learned in training. And I'm not saying it is the holy grail, but it might help one or two of you guys maybe to do it the way I do now. Again, if it works, great. I look like a genius. But also, what I don't want to happen is that you switch it up 100% right now. When you get out of here, you try right away to do what I do. Wouldn't work. Do yourself a favor. Use for now what works for you, what you're comfortable with. And then in the next couple of days, look at these recordings we hopefully maybe send out to everybody. Rehearse, and then try once in a while. Rehearse it, and just get fluent with it so that it becomes second nature. It becomes so good. If you want to do it the way I do, becomes so good that you can't be bad anymore. Because in a stressful situation with a customer, we always fall back to our lowest level of training. And if you don't really have it down, and then you want to rather switch it back to the way you did it before, the customer sees it too, and the customer might get confused and pushes back. It's, I don't know, you seem unsure right now, so I don't want to do it. So practice, and use your car. You have an hour drive, and I can tell the guys to send you up to the thumb, and you're 3 hour drive. Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. So you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the first part, what I want to go over is in that close sequence is I want to explain it first, the steps and why I say what, and the reason why I'm doing all this. I like breaking it down before I show you the whole thing in a spiel. Okay. We good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, one more golden nugget, I guess. How do you transition from excuse me, how do you transition from presenting the window? Let's say go back in, your visits with the customer in your head. And now you have the window there and you show them everything. I want them. And how do you now transition? Or is it a transition or is it like a shortcut? Okay, this is a window, looks good. Okay, let's run the numbers. That's how I did it. Is that what you do mostly, or do you have a word track what you use to transition? No?
I show the numbers before I show the windows.
Okay, exactly. Yeah, sometimes I do that too. Yeah. But how do you get there to the numbers? You say something like, want to run some numbers?
It sounds a little bit better than that.
Okay.
Let's see what this will be.
Yep.
Yeah. I started by reviewing everything that we've talked about and what we've done.
Okay.
Like, this is what we're doing on each window, basically.
And then you open the laptop, or then you show the numbers out.
From there, I'll say something like, does that sound, how do you feel about that? Yeah. All right. Well, this is where we are now.
Okay.
Of course, this is subject to change. I'll go briefly through the numbers and payment options, and then I'll transition immediately into, I'm going to go out and get my stuff. So you
let them zoom on that, and good. I do it too. Yeah. It's kind of like how do you say, the porch lighting without the porch lighting.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm just going out to do I show up before my demos, right? So I'm going out to my car to get my stuff, and let them, here's how you flip back and forth between the two. If you guys want to talk about that, when I'm grabbing myself, is it okay if I want myself back in?
Yeah.
So what we've been teaching is the halftime, right? So the halftime is after you do your inspection, you plug some numbers in. Hey, this is kind of where we're at right now. I'm going to go grab my stuff.
Right.
I think what Mick's asking is the actual close, like transitioning.
Yeah.
This is the window you want. This is what you feel comfortable putting in your home, and then into the close from there.
Yeah. So basically, it's always good. And if you guys have something in place already, that's good. I didn't. Right? For me, it was this mindset thing, and I opened it, ta-da! Right? So that was bad. So I learned the word track, and basically, there are different levels of, they say, excellence. No matter how you want to call it, but the basics you learn in training, obviously, and that's great. That's what you fall back to. And then as you progress, you find out a couple of things what works, a couple of things don't, and then you switch it up. So as you go, more word tracks as better it is, and become fluent in that. And so the word track will help me a lot. I want to share that with you, and maybe it helps you. But that is kind of like the transition, what I use a lot when there's a lot of curveballs or something like that. It's always what I fall back onto. So now when I'm in a real situation with the customer, it's much more fluent, obviously, because now it's mine now, so I need to know it, and I can word it in a way that it fits better to that particular customer. But I always can fall back to the word track when I show right now. So the word track, basically, after I show the glass, show the window, whatever it is, and then I want to present the numbers. We go always back to the table, never present numbers standing up. And then I say, okay, excuse me. Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like this is a project you really want to move forward on eventually, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why am I completely off the rails?
No, eventually.
Yeah. Okay, good. Since it's not a question of if, but rather when, what we always do, we show you an investment number, which is good for a whole year. So we nail down this number today for you, and we hold it for 1 year. You can call me anytime. Cool?
Okay.
Then I'll also show you how to save a little bit of money by maybe considering this rather sooner than later. Because look, if you look at the whole number or low monthly payment, if it's affordable, is there any reason why you wouldn't consider this sooner than later if it's affordable?
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. So what I did here is I kind of set or framed the whole thing, set it up in a way that he knows I'm not only showing one number. And also, it is easier to get a no out of somebody than a yes. Right? The commitment is always like, you want to do this? Shake my hand. I don't know, right? But it's always easier to ask for something like that, like, are you opposed to, or something like that? No, I'm not opposed to. Technically, it's a yes, but they tell us no, which is easier to come up with psychologically, but it's a different subject for a different training, I guess. So, but that's my transition verbiage, basically. Any questions on that? Okay. Does it sound good? Does it sound like something you could use if you needed to? Yeah. Okay. So what I would
Could you go back? Could you go run through it one more time?
say it again.
Yep, just the first part.
Okay.
And Mick, this is right after, like, you've just shown the window.
Yeah.
That is your.
It's basically I want to sit down and we go to the computer. I want to show them the numbers. Yeah. So that's how the closing starts. So it's basically the transition now to go to the close, which I like to take my sweet time with the closing. Yeah, I don't want to rush through that because that's sometimes the whole presentation. It's almost like in trance, when thinking about other things and just show them everything. But then the close starts. Now I'm like, okay, now I'm all alert, and I take my time. That's my show now. That's now my time. Well, I want to sit with the customer and everything what I picked up on the way, on clues and so forth. I have that right ready. All right. So anyway, so I can repeat that. So, all right, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like this is a project you really want to get going eventually, right? Or am I completely off the rails?
No, eventually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So since it's really not the question of if, but rather when, what we always do is we give you an estimate, which is good for 1 year. And then I also show you, how to save a little bit of money by considering this rather sooner than later. Because if you look at the whole number or low monthly payment, if it's affordable, is there any reason why you wouldn't consider this rather sooner than later if it's affordable?
No.
Okay, good. Any questions to that? Okay, so again, it's just a word track, but once you have that down, and then you can make it your own, then you can play around with it. You can use it wherever you need it, but it helped me a lot. So to transition. And now, again, I break down the close spiel from top to bottom, and then I'll run through it in the end. Just picture right now, I will be sitting with the customer at the kitchen table. So a couple of rules to that, and probably most of you guys know that, but I just want to say that anyways. You always sit next to the customer, like you could put the arm around them. Okay, always cozy up, never across the table. And if you have to switch sides or something like that, so be it, do it. And you have the computer anyway, so sometimes I mean most of the time, I actually direct them, hey, why don't you come over here to me? Put your chair over here. I'm not moving. They should move. And I show them my computer. So it's important not across and not standing up either. I mean, if you go to a construction site where I was the other day and all was burned down and there was no furniture, nothing, right? I mean, yeah, you do it this way, but majority of the time, have them right next to you and never side by side. If it's a couple, always both on that side. And so that's kind of like how it should be. And then I open the computer and go through the order one more time. So I say, look, what we have right now is white on white, mostly double hung windows, and this, and full removal on all of them. You really like that, right? Then we go down to the studs, repair everything what there is, and then go basically through the orders and explain the goodies one more time.
Mick, can I interject? You're showing them your screen as you do that, right?
Yeah, but just with the no numbers yet.
Right.
Just with their products.
The product. I want to emphasize that for everyone. If you're not doing that currently, face the screen to your customer so they can see your spreadsheet of windows.
Go through project. Okay. And this is basically just also getting them one more time and like all the differences where we are better, where we are different. And, and as more you blow up the value one more time and sum it up, because everything was said already, but now you sum it up. Now the value, is also back in the head and at all. And then I always ask, okay, so any questions to the project? Do I have everything? Or did I forget anything? And then sometimes I look at each other. No, honey, do we really want that, this and this and this? Okay, and then they might discuss a little bit further. That's fine. But you basically have them all in close range here next to you. Go through the project. And then another little transition is right when I then click that button where the big number shows. I say, all right, the funds required for the project, the way you want it to get the results you're looking for, bam, is $80,000. So funds required. Okay. Don't say price or anything like that. The funds required to get the results you're looking for. Because customers, we want to get them away from transaction-based thinking. We want them into result-based thinking, right? Again, it's another subject for a different meeting, but funds required. And then you show the number. Let's say it's $80,000. And always, if it's always is never a round number, 263, right? And mention that too a bit. It makes it more real as well. And then I see in the corner of my eye if the heads go to each other or not. I observe that a little bit. And then my next step is, okay, so if somebody wants to move forward in cash, we always need 50% down as a contractor and then 50% after we install, or always we offer financing, let's say 10% down if you like, and then it's about 9.99%. And depending on the terms, whenever you move forward, it's roughly $800 a month. And I really pull this number out of my behind. You can do the math. It's roughly $800 at 10% for 10 years at 80,000. Nobody moves forward with that anyway, so it's fine if you use a tenth of that, 1% of that. Okay, so this is basically how I explain them. And then also, there's no prepayment penalty, so it's $800 a month. You can pay more to pay it off faster. And then I look at them and say, I actually thought it was a little bit more. How do you feel about that? And then let them tell you. And you have to start the conversation with them. I don't want them to be quiet at that point. I don't want to continue until I get pushback. It's too much money. I want to hear that. I mean, 1 out of 1,000 times, it happened to be 2 that somebody said, oh, that's not that bad. All right, let's move forward. And I was then, oh, wait a minute. You want to place the order now? Oh, we have some discounts for that. But depending on how much you blow up the value, how much they like it, they move forward then or not. But obviously, we all know in that moment, most likely not. Okay, so question here. My statement is always, oh, it's actually much lesser than I thought. We already at 100,000, but good for you. Now, how do you feel about that? Always ask, start that conversation. Now, they will always say something. If they just stare at the number and don't say anything and the jaw drops, wake them up. You want to start that conversation. All right, so we get finally, they say, oh yeah, okay, that's a little higher than I thought. Really? Okay, what were you thinking? Don't stop there. You want to dig deeper in that. What were you thinking? I really had no idea. Okay, but you feel it's like more than you expected, right? Yeah. What were you expecting? Like half. I want to hear a number. Yeah, I don't know. I had no idea. 40,000 or something like that. Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense. How do you get that number? How did you arrive there? I don't know. Like years ago, my neighbor, blah, blah, they give you some kind of a story. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Can I ask you a question? Let us know here. I got a question for you. Can I ask you a question? After we spoke today, and you learned so much about the Windows and the way we do business and install and all that, do you feel like it's worth it though? Hypothetically, you feel it's worth it? And a lot of times you hear, yeah, it's probably worth it. What they're thinking is, it's out of my league, right? But you want to really have this conversation. It's important. Okay, so ask the question, you feel like, though, after everything what we talked about today, and you learned so much about our windows, you feel it's worth it? And then let them answer. And most of the time, you hear something like, yeah, it's probably worth it, but it's out of my league. Okay. All right. And then we go to the next step. Michael, can we forget about the numbers for a second?
Sure.
Yeah. If it's a funny customer, they say, are you kidding me? That's in my head now. I can't forget about that. Yeah, I have some jokes with them too, but all right. So yeah, let's forget about the numbers for a minute. And then I lean back and I shrink my arms like that. And I pull back. When we talked about the window earlier, it sounded like you really, really appreciate the fabrics, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the beauty of the window, then I look at her, if there's a spouse involved, it's beautiful, like a wood window, but without the maintenance, it sounded like really something you like, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And energy efficiency, in your daughter's room where you have all the heat coming in the summertime, that made a lot of sense. Okay, good. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like it's just the numbers in the end. It's the window you actually want, but the number is too high. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Now, hypothetically, if somebody would give you a duffel bag with $80,000, is that the window you would buy?
I might take 40 for my bathroom and then
Yeah, the joke still, right? Yeah, we have those two. But ask this question. If somebody would give you a duffel bag to buy windows, would you buy a window? Technically, I'm asking, this was free, would you do it? I want to know if there's anything else holding you back other than the number. That's where I want to go with that. So if somebody would give you a duffel bag to buy windows with $80,000 in it, would you buy all windows? Yeah, most of the time. Yeah. Okay. Now, obviously, nobody gives you, a duffel bag with $80,000, but so it really sounds to me it's just about the numbers. Is there anything else?
No, it's pretty much the numbers.
Just that?
Yeah.
Okay. And now, I opened my door now to this, what I said earlier. Would you consider this rather sooner than later? Right? Because now it's not about, he doesn't want our window. He wants our windows and he wants to get it done. And we look like the best solution for him. He wants it. But we now just have to make it more affordable. Okay. So if it's really just that and nothing else, and I double down on that, I actually ask one more time, probe it. Is it just that or is there anything else?
Well, I haven't really talked to anyone else. I probably need to get a couple.
Okay, well, objection handling is for the other. We can go through that. It just would extend our time today by tremendously. I have to do it objection handling to no. Okay, but most of the time you get the answer, yeah, it's really just that. Are you kidding me? No, that's out of my league. All right. Now, when you pointed at something on this, is it more the full number or is it the interest rate or the monthly investment number? Is it what's out of your league or what you're uncomfortable with? Oh, yeah, this is kind of like the whole thing. Okay. Now, remember when I told you earlier that, there's some ways I can help you to maybe make this more affordable? And they remember. Okay. So in this moment, I have it kind of like on a white piece of paper, right? Where I wrote the number here, 8263. I wrote that here, 12 months estimate. I wrote that there. And here I have promo. And sometimes you see people already interrupting you, like when you show those numbers. Hey, wait a minute, but we got a flyer in the mail and all that. There's hold the horses. I'll show you all that in a minute. But you still continue with this because you want to get one thing out of that conversation. You want to eliminate that they will say, I want to talk to other companies and all that. And you're eliminating that by, look, if you have the money, would you do it? Yeah, I'll be the right company. Is this the window you want? Okay, so that eliminates that rebuttal too. Okay, so now we showed all this, and technically what you see there with the 50/50, here the 800, right? All right, so if it's really just that and nothing else, All right. Remember when I said earlier, there might be a way or two and, how we can maybe save you some money. Hey, if you like our window that much and you would like to place the order before the year is coming to an end, we have a promotion right now, which helps us because we want to keep busy to the, winter season, but it helps you too, maybe to, we give back. So you save something, we save something. Would that be appropriate if I show you that? So ask for permission. Is that appropriate if I show you that? And then I say, yeah. Okay. So the promotion we currently have is buy one, get one, 40% off. And then I kind of like put it to the side and look at them. Look, buy only 140. It works like the department store, right? You have two T-shirts. One is $50, one is $40. And they say, buy one, get one half off. Guess which one you get half off? 40. Right? So you got that out of the way that they don't come back and say, oh, wait a minute, I thought it's 40. The door one is 8,000 and this, so that shuts that up. You don't want to have that conversation later. Okay, so buy one, get one 40, and then another $200 off of the whole project. Let me run those numbers, and then you put them, in the drop down, and let's say it's 65, 532. Okay, and then we also have payment promotion as well. So instead of 50% down, it is 0 down, and we can give you 12 months, same as cash, no interest for 1 year. But watch out, you got to pay this off within a year. Other than that, they'd switch it to a high interest loan, right? You want to avoid that. But if you have the means, you can pay this off within a year and no interest. Or maybe the safer way is kind of like a flexi plan, where you also have 0 down instead of the 10% down. And then in this case, it's about $620 a month. Okay. Now, do you feel like $620 a month, you can swing that? Is that in the range? And then let them say, oh, it sounds better than the 800, but man, it's still tight. So now we are really just talking about the numbers, which is good because we want to get them to a more comfortable way. So then I look at them, okay, 620. Hey, before I continue here, but what's comfortable to you? I mean, look, when no company's over, you start this project, we both know it's expensive and there's no way around it that somebody would do that for free. So no matter who you call over, everything costs money. Am I right? Okay. So what were you, thinking is affordable? What can you, spend each month? And then I tried to get a number out from them at that moment to see if it's, which way I would continue. If they say, well, I don't know, I have to run my numbers. You hear that too, but again, we talk about all that at a later time. Okay. So now, off the record, between all of us, what do I have still in my sleeve? Yeah. Volume discount, same day discount, lower monthly payments. Right.
So at this point, are you showing, because you showed the 99 for 0 to 10 years at the 1 year price?
Yeah.
At this price, are you showing the 699?
Most of the time. Yeah, I flip it up.
So you flip it up.
I flip it up and show them the monthly payment for that. So I'm just pulling those numbers out of my.
And just another question. That's for your EPP. Do you show the buy one get one 40% for EPP, or do you show the local Detroit offer? Because I know where this is going.
Yeah.
But for your EPP, do you show the local 20% or the buy one get 140?
No discount.
Nothing on EPP.
I show the full number, as close as high as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you show EPP?
I do.
Okay.
But I'm more talk about it than just showing it. And I like to talk about high numbers. When I go through the house, we are now done in the second floor, and we go downstairs. And I started laughing. Sometimes I say, "We are not at 100,000 yet, so that's good." Do you have a coffee? Try to be different, right? So what? Again, it's another subject for a different training, maybe. But they perceive us as what? As a sales guy. Oh, now he's just want to sell me something, and you see the arm goes like that. Whenever they think now he's going to sell me something, right? You see them crossing the arms, they lean back and push back. And so we have to overcome that. And one easy way to overcome that, again, it's a subject for another training, but be different. right? For instance, when I greet people on the number one, right? When I come in, I'm not hyperly excited. No, Larry, you talk about that. I be neutral. They have to earn my trust too, right? The worst is if you kind of like, oh, they open the door and you, hey, how's it going? Good to meet you. Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. Let's go, right? You can't possibly hold that excitement up through the whole presentation. So you always go down from there, right? That's fake English. You're not excited to be there. You don't even know if you can help them. So it's better the other way around, right? If you start more reserved, more quiet. It's just me, right? Then you can build up from there. I become friends with the customer most of the time in the end, but we have to work it up there. Otherwise, it's weird. You know what I mean? When I meet you somewhere, now we know each other. That's cool. But if I would have just met you now, it would be weird if I said, "Come here, let's have a coffee, let's talk a little bit." I don't know you, right? That puts more barriers up than basketball. But where were we? So yeah, so in the EPP, I always want to show high numbers. I want to kind of like shock them in a way. I want to, have high numbers there. I don't want to lowball already, and then I come back with a high number later on. So again, back to this situation. Now I have a couple of other avenues still available here, and I explore them with them. And I say, okay, you like 620? Does that fit in the in the budget? Can you swing that every month? And I ask them provocative like that. Do you feel like you can swing that? No matter how, even if it's $100, I always ask it. Do you feel like you can swing that? And let them ask, and let them tell you how they feel about it. Sometimes you hear, oh yeah, that's not a problem at all. Okay. It sounds like you're ready to roll. So there's another discount for those people who place the order right then and there. And 90% of the customers I speak with, they like our windows so much, they place the order right there and everything. So that's another discount. Is it appropriate if I show you that? You just wheel it in. That's already in your boat. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. Good. I was waiting for a feedback. Okay. Can you follow me there? Does that make sense when I explain this?
It makes a lot of sense. The reason why I asked you if you show EPP is because what you're doing seems to be conditioning the customer to finally get to a point where they're going to say yes. But if you showed them the EPP, it would give it would be odd. It would be awkward. So it feels to me like you're talking about EPP and not showing EPP. The other question I have for you is, are you presenting this price and going into your close? Well, let me rephrase my question. Do you do halftime pricing, or do you just give them? Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
I kept on doing ballparking it through the presentation.
Yeah.
Like for instance, looking at a window, and having a conversation with the customer while we are walking through the house and taking measurements.
Right.
And then I see a half circle up there. I say, ooh, that's a doozy up there. Hope that lasts a little longer. You don't need to replace it now. Oh, really? Why? Well, that's has at least as much as the window underneath. Really? Yeah. The underneath, depending on the material, easily $5,000. The other one 6. I throw those numbers out. Yeah. I want them to get used to that. And as more comfortable you are with that, as more not comfortable, but as lesser pushback you get. I mean, they get the number, but I remember in the beginning, I was kicked out twice actually. One guy was a contractor, and he kind of like had way different numbers as that. Hey, I also sold to contractors. It's not impossible, but you got to prepare it in a different way. That's why I have this conversation with the customer in the beginning. Also, how do you meet? How do you get about this? What were you trying to fix this? You do Windows too? How? Why don't you do it? Why am I here? Right? So you want to have those conversations too to find all that out. But if you are comfortable throwing out these big numbers, they won't kick you out anymore. So, if you're kind of like just lowballing it and, hey, we're just a little bit more than vinyl windows, if you keep on comparing yourself to garbage, then they want to go with vinyl. Or want to at least hear what they have to say. So I stopped comparing myself with other companies. I stopped comparing myself with other pricing. Because look, if you go to a Ferrari dealer, right? They will never tell you, yeah, this is so much better than the Kia, right? And the gas mileage, yeah, it's a little bit more than your hybrid, but man, this thing is they don't do that. They sell you the feeling what you get when you drive that Ferrari. So, okay. Here's a question.
I just wanted to put like an exclamation mark on the phrasing that you used when you went into the same day pricing, because I just want to make sure that everybody paid attention to it. I don't know if you did it intentionally this way, but I think that it's really brilliant the way that you worded it. In that you say, there is another discount when they're like showing signs that they're ready to move forward. Yeah. And you're saying, most of our customers love our window so much that they do actually move forward the same day. Is it appropriate for me to show you that same day price? Because you're just assuming that if they say yes, that they're ready to move forward. And that's just really, really well worded. And I just wanted to put an exclamation mark.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So, again, if we do this 5 times, you probably hear 5 different nuances on every step. But I want to explain all this first so that you get the broad idea. And then if you like this in the end, once you kind of like rehearse it and make it your own, and again, don't try to switch. If something works for you, keep it, right? But if you want to implement this, practice first. And I'm happy to be on the phone with you and coach you, whatever you want.
Carl, to your point, I'll just say, if you guys have a good flow with EPP, don't be afraid to show some of these discounts in an EPP, because A, the customer's not going to remember it anyway by the time you get back to this. Right. And B, again, depending on what you're showing them, it could be different if they're getting different discounts. So you can still have a long conversation at the end, even if you did a preview of them. And they'll still need to cement with a long conversation. They won't remember what you did in the beginning. Okay.
So I traveled with Mick one time, and we went to this house, and he's bringing up the price while we're crawling up an attic measuring, just mentioned. So I took something from that. What I do is I turn on the price. I turn on the project price when I have my spec sheet up. And when I do AR, they're seeing that number, and they're saying, oh, is that my price? Well, yeah, but don't worry, we haven't applied our discounts yet. So they're getting that price condition by seeing that big retail number. So turn that number on your screen. They're going to look. Just like if you're sitting next to somebody and their computer buzzes or their phone, people look at it, So don't be afraid to show them that big number.
Yeah, correct. And I would even, when we had RbA, right? And when I showed RbA, it was always showing the number of the doors. And at the beginning, before I got so confident with that, I always said, forget about the number for now. There's some discount coming. Stop apologizing for that. It is what it is. You want to have a Ferrari? You pay for a Ferrari.
For the new reps in class, what they're talking about is the eyeball.
Yeah.
The offer. Okay. Right.
Well, no, that's not the eyeball. It's you do the little drop down sheet that shows it. It's like this. If you bring this, oops, wrong one. If you hit the little 4 square, and you can hit quote price on the 4 square.
Yeah.
I would say one small thing is I would avoid the unit price. You might attest to this too, but there's something psychologically where someone can see a big number when it's all summarized, but if they look at that and they're like, that bathroom window is $2,500, and they flip out.
Yeah. So I had to flip out too in the beginning. I don't have that anymore. And I show all the numbers.
You do the per window price too?
When they go with me through in the end, when we transition, right? When I show them one more time the project, I have all the buttons unchecked or checked. So it shows the unit number and it shows the phone number. Because also psychologically in the end, if I now come to the conclusion with them that whatever we do, the whole house is too much, they know, well, before discounts, the window is $3,000. Now we can talk about an open conversation. How about we shrink it and we make it more affordable for you? Mm-hmm. Right? Because they know, if I do now 2 windows less, it's $6,000 less, I can afford that.
Yeah. It's like an extreme version of the EPP where you're just like, here's the price the whole time.
Yeah, but like that. You got to be comfortable with that too, right? So if you are shy about that, or if you feel uncomfortable, they feel that, right? So it's more you don't care, it is what it is.
Yeah.
As more they proceed as kind of no, and you can have this conversation obviously with the customer too, like, hey, look, since COVID, and you just say that word and look at them like that, COVID. Oh yeah, I know, everything get, and then I actually double down on that and say, I know prices go this way, but the quality of everything out there seems to be going in the garbage. right? And they kind of know that if you keep on buying stuff from Amazon, my wife shops like crazy there. But she bought like this fake whatever ficus tree or something like that. Looked good in Amazon, and it didn't say though it was zoomed in. The thing is this big. Anyways, but the price of it, like so. Anyway, so in this moment, so the reason behind this that I split this up and slow it down because I want them. Look, if you talk too fast, it goes in here. It cannot really plant seeds. Nothing can grow there, and it comes out here. So it's slower you talk about that. Rhetorical pauses, if you wish, like I do right now. Then they continue to listen to you and they follow your words. And that's why also I like to do this on a piece of paper with a pen, because people tend to look at your pen, what you're writing. So it goes in the ear and in the eyes. The brain has two, how do you say, like,
Stimulus.
yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. Okay, you've been there. You know what I mean. So, yeah, so that's why I rather write it down while I'm showing the number on the computer, and I write it down on a paper so it becomes more real and they can wrap their head around. If I rush through this and I just show the computer, not on the paper, then the chance is always that then you get at the end, oh yeah, so, but this number is good for 1 year, right? So I can call you that, right? Because you rushed through it. Now they didn't understand that, hey, if you want to do this sooner than later, this is what we have now in December. They didn't share with me yet if they want to move forward now, right? Today. So that's why I'm not showing them that yet. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here with the customers to really see where their headset is, like where they positioned. I want to have a feedback. So now, having the 12-month same schedule, no money down, it's Christmas time, right? To keep your money. Both would be 0 down. What do you feel would be more comfortable? 12-month same schedule, and then if it's a couple, they usually start talking. Oh yeah, well, we can do this, we can let them talk. Right? They talk themselves into that. Or if they say, oh no, that is impossible. So I would go with the financing. All right, so $620, can you swing that? And then let them answer. And more likely, they might say, it's a little tight. Or if they hesitate, I lean forward and say, it's a little tight. I know you have kids, mother to pay for. What would be more comfortable? And let them share that with you. If you get the number out of them, that's super cool. So sometimes I share that with you. Oh man, yeah, I was hoping for $300. Click, 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 click. Now I know where to go, right? I can show them. I can always show them now the avenue, the fourth we are right now, either left or right. Either I show them now the same day discount, or I show them now we can shrink it down. And the way I say it is, look, there might be another way where I can save you a couple of extra dollars, and then I lean back and I say, look, just between you and me, 95% of the customers we sit with, they love our windows, right? And then you get another. So 90% of the customers I sit with, and that number is a lie. That I admit, my close rate is not 90%, but I say they want to move forward. Well, they want to move forward with us while I'm there. They place the order right then and there. It has 3 contingencies, though, and I explain that if it's appropriate. But do you feel like, do you want to see that? Do you want me to show you that? And now I open up for the same day discount. But I also put a contingency on that. Because look if I just can lower the price and lower the price and lower the price and lower the price without any repercussion on that. If you sit with the right customer, they might ask you, all right, that's your price now. I'll wait 5 minutes. What else you got? Around 2,000? I move forward if you can get it down, you know me? And now what? So that's why I put 3 contingencies to that, because as lower the numbers go, and as more I want back from them. All right, so let's say they say, yeah, you know what? What would it be? So now I showed the same day discount, because I explained it to them. I don't call it the same day discount. Thank God we don't name it that anymore since yesterday. It's now the efficiency. Yeah, I like that. Same day discount. Because the word day, same day, and I'm not using that word at all. You can move forward with me now while I'm here. It's technically the same thing. But the word same day, what triggers that in a customer's mind?
Pressure.
Yeah. I'm not a guy like that. I never make a decision on the same day. Well, you just did. You just made the decision not to move forward today. So it's kind of serious, right? So, all right. So it's kind of like an avoidance of that term. All right. So, all right. Same day discount now. I open it up with the efficiency discount, and I show the numbers now. I also show, like, hey, look, with that, put also the volume, all the discounts I have. I go now full force, put the pedal to the metal. With all the discounts, let's say we get to $54,000 in six, whatever. It's always don't make it a full number. Never. Always have something weird. Okay, and then we still have the 12 months same as cash, or 0 down, and in this case it would be $450. Now, $450 a month, and now before the customer says anything, I now say, look, remember, this is still the whole house. You have like what? 15 windows here. That's it. If that's too much, rather than to revert to a subpar quality, rather do lesser windows. And we can always come back for the rest. Do you feel 450? You can swing it? And now I say it a little bit more motivational instead of, can you swing that? Okay. So then you see the reaction. A lot of times you get here, yeah, you know what? And if it's a couple, they look at each other. Yeah, that's absolutely possible. And it's Christmas, 0 down. Would that work for you? Keep your money? Yeah. Okay, cool. And now you don't want to say you don't want to really ask him for the yes. You'd rather do it with a more nonchalant way, because when you reach out now your hand and you say you want to do it, that's a commitment. And psychologically, people have commitment issues these days. That's why we have so many divorces, right? So in that moment, I see, all right, so really the next step would be I show you the paperwork and then we submit it to financing, see what they say. And if everything goes good, you get new windows. Sounds good. All right, cool. And then I ask them for the driver's license. And as soon as they give me the driver's license, I reach out then my hand and say, welcome to the family. And there you go. Now, let's say in that moment they say, they're a little hesitant. I don't even need to hear the words from them. But if I see they're hesitant here, hey, how about we just start with a handful of windows? Do you want me to show you that? Is that appropriate if I show you just the 4 most urgent windows for now? See where we are there? Make it more affordable. And it's not the question of if anymore. It's now just a question through the whole presentation, psychologically, it burned down to just how, with how many windows. It's not the question of if we are there, because we went way too far right now. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, any questions to that? Okay. Go ahead.
What are the 3 contingencies for the same day discount?
I'm glad you asked, and the customer will ask most of the time too. So when they move forward, if I forgot it like now, I can then, when I get the driver's license, I can say, ooh, by the way, you had to qualify for this, but it's just 3 little things. Can we talk about that? Ooh, what is it? Because I want them to feel now it's special. Not everybody gets this, right? I want them to feel like, dude, Mick does something really good for me. All right. So the 3 contingencies is, look, one thing with all these discounts, I need a little, help from you. One thing is we are asking for the sign in the yard. Would you be opposed to having a sign about this big after we install? We would politely ask if we can put it down for 4 weeks though. Would that be okay with you? Oh, you can put a whole banner out there. Right? You hear those reactions. They're in. Okay. The second is we would be asking you politely for a review. I'm not telling you what to write, just a review. Because you know how it is. If somebody is mad, you don't have to ask for a review. You get it guaranteed. Right? That's how it is. And that's a communication with the customer. I said, look, if somebody's mad, they give you one. But there's so many people happy with us, so we politely ask, could you give us a review? We not tell you what to write, but maybe with pictures, would that be good? Awesome. The third thing is, if you allow me to take before and after pictures, you would become my best friend. because then I can show other customers maybe before and after. It's a big change on these videos. You feel like that's appropriate? Is that okay? No, get a confirmation from them. And then also without sharing your information, without sharing your name or address, just a few before and after. Oh yeah, no problem. So these three contingencies, obviously, nobody has anything against that. Right? It's easy. But you want to make them kind of like jump a little hurdle there. Why do you shake your head?
No, it's gold. No, it's small little commitments, things that are easy to say yes to that justify you showing you're building this buy-in little steps at a time. It's awesome.
Yeah. So now here's the thing what I didn't share with you guys. I want to do it now. So if your close rate, let's say, let me step back one second on it. To get somebody from 50% close rate to 30, it's fairly easy to have 25-30% close rate here. Right? If you're good, you get there. And that's a big jump, right? Now, how about get somebody from 30 to 60? That seems like impossible, right? I mean, not even Mick did that over a year span. You might see yourself, a close rate of 100% in 1 week. Yeah, I had that too. One customer, he signed up, I was 100%. That made me feel good. But, who am I kidding? So what I'm saying by that is to get somebody from mediocre or is just starting, and training all this to get you to 30%, that should be an easy task in the next year. And I'm telling you right away, don't think you can double your income or you can, get this better within a month. No, it doesn't work that way. You gotta work hard on this. You gotta rehearse. If you like this, rehearse. I train with you over the phone on the way to the customer. No problem at all. If you like this way. Now, but to get then later on from like 30 to 35, which tremendously increases your income. It's just 5% more. But that's hard work. So you got to put in the work if you really become one of the top closers and constantly be higher than 30%. That takes a lot of work. And some people are naturally born killers like that. Nick Z, David Schmier. Some people like me. I have to learn more. I have to study more. I have to work harder on that. Right? But it's always about the time you put in. Now, the one thing I didn't share with you, what was kind of like an eye-opener. And I don't know the exact numbers, but it's just a big hunch, a big feeling what I have, and I know the numbers roughly. Not only did my close rate improve, and by doing all this, my close rate, I think for the whole year is 31. It's not really to be much proud of, but I got from, I think, 27 the year before to now 31. It's like
26.
26, so thank you, 5% more. Now, that's the gross what I sold more. It's $1 million this year. More than last year, roughly. If you do the math, it's about $100,000 with bonuses and whatnot. $100,000 more. My oldest son, he works for Toyota. He makes $65,000 a year, with not much way to go high there, right? And I just changed a couple of things around, tried to work on myself, get a little bit better, and I made $100,000 more than last year. So here's the other thing, though, and this is the golden nugget. There's a little bonus what comes with all this. If you work on yourself, if you really want to get better, it's also the cancellation rate drops. It's not just about how much money you make. It's also about how much money you keep in your pocket. My close rate was 26% last year, I guess. I think my cancellations was at least 10%. Round about right?
Yeah.
Do you know my cancellation rate for this year?
8.6.
Pardon me?
8.6.
Yeah.
was last year.
It was last year.
100%.
So I didn't look at my numbers this year, but when somebody cancels, it hurts you, and you remember that. And I didn't have much of that hurt this year.
You're 30% better this year than you were last year.
Yes. So your close rate might go up if you work on that, and your cancellation rate goes down. So technically, you have more money in your pocket than not just more sales. Okay. Any questions on any of this at this point?
Do you do this pretty much every time now? This is
This one is
and you have a separate piece of paper where you're doing the detail price, the 12 month price.
Yeah, so you have to write it down. People follow your words and what they see. So in the past, before we had this here, which I love that we have that, we didn't have that for a while. So I printed my own. So basically, I went to this website where you can print all stuff. My name and number is down. My oversized business card, right? Just in case they lose a little one. And all the paperwork, what they want to print out, I always say, put that all in here, right? So when I come to the customer and I ask them all the questions about their project and what the pain points are, what they're dealing with. Hey, what's going on? Why am I here? Right? What's going on? Why do you feel you need new windows? I write everything down here. Or here, it's actually made for that. I made this for that. So you write down all the pain points, you write it all down. And then in the end, I fold this up and I write all my numbers, everything what you saw here, I write it down here because I leave it with that. And also it takes pressure away when you say in between, look, I'm going to write this all down here for you. This is for you to keep. So when I leave, you have something to look at. Takes a lot of pressure away.
Can you send that to me?
Huh?
Instead of them having to say, hey, can you send me
Yeah.
a copy of that or email me?
Yeah, but also it takes when you say words like that, I leave this with you, kind of like takes the pressure away, like the same day decision. And sometimes, not often, but sometimes when you get this customer who greets you almost with that when you come in, when you are too much of a salesperson in their eyes, right? Because I don't know, the way you walk or talk or something like that. They say something very early on, but so you know, you're one out of many. We want to make an informed decision later on. We're not buying anything today. So just so you know, right? What does that tell you? Right? Yeah, most likely. But also, you take a lot of pressure away because I mean, you say, look, I write this down for you, you keep this for you. Okay? So it kind of like takes pressure away. So that's what I did. And so I noticed a couple of weeks ago that we have these now. So use those now. And you can, write all the numbers in, put your phone number in there, and so forth. So this is genius.
That's on the renewal website, or how did you get that with your name and everything on it?
Oh, I made that.
Why do you just go to like FedEx? Or
Oh,
What's a cell? Vistaprint. Yeah.
Vistaprint.
So I went to Vistaprint, right? Downloaded the picture of that, and only used what we have on the website, anyways. But I wanted my name and number down there, right? Because I want them to call me and not one of you guys. Right?
So you have a template.
I do have a template for that. Yeah. By the way, I also put the word in here. Getting it done right with the highest quality the first time, priceless. Yeah. It's just a little.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How did that affect your non-transits?
My non
Non-trans.
the proxy stuff.
Proxies and retail and events.
So that's a hard question to answer because the majority of the time I find out if it's a proxy or not in the first conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because I always want to know how did we get together? How did you find us, right? And then you hear sometimes, oh yeah, I was in the this one show and they gave me a card. And oh, okay, cool. How did that go? Why did you make an appointment though? When they're so friendly, what's going on? Oh, we are looking for windows for a long time, So you pick up all. If somebody tells me that I see they lived there for 10 years, the windows are shot for the last 5 years, I have that conversation with them too about, hey, you put this off for 5 years. What makes this different now? And I lean back. They have to sell me on that idea now, right? I lean back like that. What makes you feel like it's better now? And then you hear things like, oh yeah, we had other projects going on first, but now it's getting so bad. Now we really want to do something. So again, remember the 6 boxes what I showed you earlier? There's a lot to that where you can have a lot of conversation where you eliminate the objection in the end. Well, that's another subject. But so my non-traditional is I think I treat them all the same. I guess I try to be, in the end, I do this with everybody. And I guess at the beginning, I think that conversation at the beginning is a little bit different with non-traditional. Want to know, why did they make an appointment? I off the record, I hated when I heard that in the past. Oh, we want to win the $10,000 they told us I could win. I'm not saying I didn't sell to those customers, but it's always a different approach, right?
So, Mick, your last year's close rate for non-traditional was 15.8%. Your non-traditional close rate this year is 28.8%. 15.8 to 28.8. The biggest change that he made was basically inserting his close and obviously working on his self-awareness and his ability to sell by seeking out that information, spending the time, and then practicing. So, for non-traditional, 15.8 to 28.8. Those leads are still the same type of leads. It's he that changed, not the leads that changed.
Yeah.
And those are great numbers.
Thank you. Now, about the leads, was one thing too, what I learned, and I had to correct myself. The leads, it is what it is, right? I mean, there are good opportunities and not so good opportunities. Yeah. It's like what I always say, it's a box of chocolate, right? You never know what's in it. But in the end, we all get the same leads. We all get, sometimes it's a great day, sometimes it's a not so good day. It is what it is. But here's the thing. You really got to think about this. I go to bed every night knowing I have another opponent coming up the next day. It's an opportunity to make $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. That's incredible. And I don't know if somebody has marketing experience, how much it takes to get an appointment. I've been there, done that. I was running a solar company in California. Holy moly. We had door knockers and all that stuff. Cost a fortune and a lot of time. It's horrible. So knowing that, I feel like I'm self-employed in this company without the bad stuff. You know, I don't have to be afraid to be sued for something, right? In America, you get sued for every little bit. So it's a big company. They have my back, right? And the second thing is, I don't have to worry about where the next customer comes from. That can take, if you're self-employed, that can take a long time out of your day to get new customers. So that's why even, I'm not saying that, but send me even to Detroit. Most of the time it's the same, but you can get clients. But at least it's an opportunity. And not all of them are bad leads, and I would say 90% of all leads are awesome. You just have to go through the other 10%. That's good. It's still a good point. You never know.
You mentioned earlier that you bought probably 40 different books and stuff. Was there one or two that you really recommend that you go back to? Anything that stands out to you? Any type of book? You mentioned earlier with the beginning, the sales books and the audio stuff.
Oh, okay. So
you said read a book a month. Is there any one that you recommend over another? There's so many out there.
I know there are a lot of them. So and you know what? We could actually, it's just an idea, it just came in my head. You can make a little library here. You know, you guys can, I bring all my books if you want, and you can rent them out, bring them back, and you know what I mean? Just share with each other. Whatever books you like or have, put them here too, and have them for a week or two. You know what I mean? But now, here's the problem though, what I learned about myself too, I was really bad. I think I was dyslexic. Is that? Dyslexic. Yeah, it's not the milk thing. Not the milk thing. When I drink
it's lactose intolerant.
yeah, not that. Not that. Dyslexic is when you have a hard time reading and writing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, as a kid, I had that. I had a hard time reading and writing. My mom was a teacher, so she really kicked my ass and I got better with that. And English is not even my first language, so all the books I'm buying are in English. My English was horrible to me. I will tell you a little story then in a second if you want. But so what I learned now is that it is much easier for me and also time well spent if I have audiobooks. Because I'm driving an hour to the customer, and I'd rather listen to that while I'm driving than to read when I'm driving. It's not that good.
Okay, well, any ones that you really like or recommend?
So the top 3 or 4 what I'm following on YouTube, because here's one thing also, YouTube is your best friend if you really want to get better. There's so much free content out there where some gurus are sharing their experience for free. So one is, which we had a couple of months ago already in one seminar, a video seminar, we had that on Zoom meeting. Is it John Voss? The negotiator. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So he's great to turn to get a no out of customers instead of a yes, right? So he puts a lot of psychology out there. Then also what hypes me up a little bit to get back in the gym and all that stuff is Andy Elliott. He's more a car salesman. He is great in what he does, but he's more like training the objection handling in the end, right? I want to rather avoid those. And I don't want to be the lazy cars guy either. That's kind of like his approach. But what he's great in is if you need a pep talk, like, better yourself and do something with your life. He's great with that for me, my personal experience. The other guy, I'm like an IC, which is Inner Circle member, like 3 different guys. So one is Jeremy Miner. His system really resonated with me because he uses his background is psychology in sales, and he has a long history in door knocking and sales, all that. And he talks about this neuro psychological way of persuasion and sales. So that's why I get a lot from him. I cannot share everything with you about the Inner Circle stuff because I paid a lot of money for that, and I have an NDA. But the free content out there on YouTube already is already gold. And last year, I remember I was sitting at TPC. I already had that in my mindset around Christmas. That I want to get back in the gym. I want to better myself, better for the family, better for sales. I want to do something with my life. And when I was sitting at TPC, I was already listening to these guys, what I just mentioned. And, then eventually I thought like, man, I really want to know more. So I met them in person and, all that. Hey, yeah, no problem. So use your time wisely, when you're driving out.
Beginning, you mentioned your tile project, right? So,
yeah,
do you talk to them about their existing projects, or are you referring to now you do a better job after you saw the factory about how well the window is made, and you go to deeper explanations about the value, the energy efficiency, and just spend more time on that?
So what I try to avoid is to emphasize how good our window is, because no matter who you ask, when there's a sales guy coming with this product, guess who has the best product? Wallside will never go there and say, "Yeah, we have our window, but hey, renewable energy is so much better." Right? So no matter what they hear as a customer, they always know, no matter what you sell, is the best on the market, right? So that's why I don't even want to even go down that route. I want them to find out. And when it comes to, the experience with other projects, I ask questions. What have you done so far for your house? You lived here for 5 years. When you moved in, was anything you had to renovate? Have a conversation and see where this leads. And I like it when they say, "Oh man, we had the roof done, and it was nails on all the driveway, I had flat tires all the time." Let them vent on that. I want them always to feel the pain. Okay, and I mean, the worst is if they say, "No, it was all good. Oh, we had windows done in wall side in our other house. We moved after 10 years, but the windows were great." Now, guess what I'm asking now? Where's wall side? Why am I here? If you're so happy with, why am I here? How do you know renewable energy? And they will tell you. And sometimes it's like simple things like, well, they were great, but look, this is our forever home, and we want something with more quality. But you got to have that conversation, otherwise you don't find out. You miss out on information. You miss out on opportunity to more ability to close there. I mean, your numbers are great, dude. I can learn to use this. So that's what I'm saying. Coming back up here. Okay. Any more questions? Do you want me to go ahead?
So when they tell you the pinpoint on, like say they got the roof done, they ran over a bunch of nails, got black tires. Do you go into RbA Advantage, like if they bring that up, or do you hold that silver bullet in your back pocket?
Yeah, I bring all the good stuff up before I show the price. Okay. And I tie that down to the results you're looking for, right? So, again, there's a much more to these other 5 steps than what I was talking about. But, when they say something, I don't want to come with a solution right away. Most of the time, I'm interviewing them more like in the conversation. I say, interesting. And how did that work out? All right. So,
what if you're not good looking or have a German accent? Will this still work?
It's that works. Hey, look, if this was all working for me as well, right? You guys will probably do much better.
Nick, I have one question on this. So I'm going through the halftime from last class, how we were taught.
And keep on doing that.
So when you do show them
you've basically got theirs up on it. You show them though the big number, the 12-month during that halftime. Like you don't even. I guess that's what I'm trying to understand. Since I know you do your paper thing here, that's towards the end of the close after the window. What about your halftime? Are you?
What do you do before you go get your samples? Like what is like I used to do before we even did halftime price presentation, I ran through cost versus value. And then what I did was if I walked around and I did 18 windows, I'd say, so this is 2,000 to 2,500 a window for your project. That'd be, $40,000 to $50,000 roughly to do it with a good quality window. Does that surprise you? I'd get a big number out there and then I'd go get my stuff and come back and do the demonstration. So to me, halftime price presentation is I got to give them a big number, whether it's through our process that we've taught or cost versus value, so that they can have a conversation while they go get stuff out of the car. How do you do something similar, or how do you do?
Similar. So I don't want to get them in the mindset our windows are 2,500 because now I shoot myself in the foot when I show them the higher number. But they are good at math. They have 10 windows, and now I come with 35,000 instead of 25,000. Now we have a problem, right? Because I didn't show them.
Well, that's why I give a number. I always inflate the number.
I always give them a range, So I have all the measurements now. Let me go to the car real quick, get my samples, so we can talk about materials, because a couple of things make the price, right? It's the size of the window and the material and the energy efficiency and so much more. Let me get that out of the car. But just to have a rough idea, no matter who you call over, or sometimes I say that, sometimes I don't. A window these days, you can easily expect between $1,500 to $4,000 per window. And there's a lot about it. That's why let me get the details, right? So I don't want to show them or tell them more like my price per window with discounts. Because if they're good in math and they run the numbers, I have 10 windows, $25,000. Oh, that's not too bad. And now I show them the high number first, even though I come down later on, but that could hold another stupid conversation I want to avoid.
So is that something that you verbally do, or do you actually go through like cost versus value with those numbers and write it down?
Yeah, so I play by ear a lot there because, I became very fluent with that step. And so I really go by what I feel this customer needs to hear. And sometimes, especially if it's like an engineer or something like that, or somebody, who you feel like they do more research, or somebody who's sitting back like that all the time and, like very reserved, I don't show we have it, I think, on a laminated piece of paper, right?
Or you can get it to Engage these days.
No. Everybody can make up those numbers.
I pull it off the website. I used to have the website up on my iPad so I could give it a little bit more credibility that it was something that wasn't just printed out.
So what I do is I get cozy with them side to side. I go to Google and I put in, look, do you know, have you heard about the Kelly Blue Book for cars? Yeah, most people have. Okay. So when you are looking to buy a used car, you go to Kelly Blue Book, you find out how much it is in the price range or not, right? There's a similar website, similar idea about home improvement projects. Do you know about that? No. Oh, that's good. Yeah, look, helped me a lot when I was renovating my own house. Look, and then I show them on my phone, and they can then do the same on theirs. But I always do it on mine because I'm registered on that website. If they do it on their phone, now it doesn't show everything. Now they have to log in first, make a profile and stuff like that, right? So don't do it on your phone where you're already registered. And then, so look, you can hear it's Detroit, bam, bam, bam. So you can go through all look, garage door, vinyl siding, right? So whatever, oh, wow, that's a cool website, yeah. And then, oops, vinyl windows. Vinyl is kind of like the cheap stuff, but we can talk about that in a minute. But that's about $21,750 for 10 average size windows. Now, some of your windows are a little bit bigger than average size. Would you agree? Yeah, and some might be smaller, but this is just really an average on an average quality vinyl window. It's $20,000. I'm not a math genius, but that's about $2,100 per window. That's the market out there. It is what it is. We're expecting that. Oh, yeah, no, whatever. But you had this conversation at that point. So I don't want to really do that on our computer or this laminated thing because that's coming from me. But if I show it on Google, that's market. That's what they can research too. Right? But again, if they do it on their phone, then they have to log in first. It takes a little while.
think the reason, but you gotta understand the why behind halftime and what we're doing. It's price conditioning, making sure that they understand that they have an idea of what this is going to cost as we're going throughout the project, right? So, however you want to do that, either with halftime, building the project as you're going, because most people are wondering, what is this going to cost me now? You're talking about industry average, this and that. What is this going to cost me? Right. So that's the why behind it. And again, it helps bring their defenses down a little bit.
And if you have this conversation early on with the customer, like just a normal conversation, like it's your friend, somebody you want to talk with about some stuff, then you feel sometimes a little bit if you should bring this up right now or not. If they are more like pressing, like, I'm kind of scared, or I don't know, how much is this going to cost? If they say that, you got to put the fire out there and then. If they bring it up, even more important is to talk about the EPP right then and there. And a lot of times I actually do that I, in the conversation, when I get the pain points, where I talk about, why am I here and what's going on with the windows and how long is this going on and all these questions. Sometimes I feel it appropriate that I lean back again, right? Like this, say, it's not going to be cheap, right? Windows cost a lot of money. Then I lean back forward as they look. Windows, roof, and HVAC. Those are kind of like the three big ticket items every household is kind of dreading, right? And Windows is probably the most expensive of all three. So have that conversation.
So, Mick, two questions. One, how long does it take you to go through this close? 20 minutes?
Yeah, it depends on the questions. 30 minutes sometimes.
Yeah, so a close, 30 minutes, not 3 minutes, like most people probably sitting in this room. And then how often when you're in that 30-minute close do you hear, we got to think about it?
Not often. And also one thing too, and I don't want to, overload you with too many word tracks or whatever I say at the beginning, and again, we can come back to the other 4 or 5 sequences at a later time. But I basically put the fire out of most objections early on, because you don't want these Godzilla babies to become full-blown monsters later on. Because once you put the numbers out, and now they say something, yeah, but there are a couple of other companies coming over, you're the first. Now you can backpedal as much as you want what you say now, right? So that's why you want to find out in the conversation, like, how do you go about this in the early on conversation, yeah? So now I'm here, so is this what you do? Like, you just call random window companies? We have that conversation, and they tell you how many are coming or were there already. If you don't ask, you don't get that answer.
I want to just one last time just touch on the halftime. It doesn't matter if you're showing them the 1-year price without any discounts, or if you're showing them, hey, this is kind of where we're at right now. These are the current promotions you qualify for. If you don't believe in the price, it doesn't matter if it's the 1-year price or the discounted price. You're going to get pretty much the same reaction from the customer. So I would say that would probably be good. Going back to what you said in the beginning, probably the most important part is wholeheartedly believing that what we do is worth it, and that we're the right solution for the customer, regarding that we are the right.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and you kind of touch on the why, and I was saying, again, the way I used to do it was with cost versus value, is I liked throwing a big number out. It was so instrumental when I got to be taking up to the next tier, like you did, was owning the price, being straightforward with the days, not obnoxious. I think I've seen it in the field where people are they're too early and too quick with this is a $3,000 window when no one's even asking you, and you're just throwing it out there. Like, there's ways to do it in an appropriate fashion, but when you own the price and you're straightforward about it, that's what EPP and halftime price presentations are. They're tools to help you do that more effectively. And owning the price and being straightforward with the customer about how much something is going to cost, it just adds to everything he's talking about, with the fact that you're more confident, they're going to be more confident in you, and they're going to understand all the way through that this is a higher class ticket item. You don't have to be obnoxious about it, but when you're confident and you believe in it and you get it out early, it's going to get rid of a lot of that objection at the end. So that's really a big part of doing this effectively, is getting the price out early, getting the confidence built up, and not shying away from it or being hiding behind anything. So whether you do, the halftime or the EPP, you're doing versions of that in your own way.
Yeah.
Michael, nobody cares what you and I used to do. That's why he's up here.
Here's what I will say. My takeaway from all this is that, all that being said, halftime price, EPPs, all that other stuff, all different tools and ways of selling to help you guys to overcome objections early and often. The biggest key, my biggest takeaway from this is that Mick has slowed down through his close. He's made the highest price his ability to and accepted it and embraced it as it's what Windows costs. And his job now is to become their partner and try to find the best way that this customer is going to be able to save some money and be able to afford these windows. But his key is it's all question based during his close. Instead of just question based at the beginning, he's turned his beginning question based into the close question based as well. He asks them questions to get response and then dig deeper into that response so that he takes it right down to the ridiculous. And then continues down that path of this makes sense. 80 grand is not a scary number. It's just a number is, can they afford 80 grand, which is $800 a month? And he puts it out there early on to get them down to the path of payments and what makes the right dollar amount for them, where it's not going to take food off their table. But his key is that it's question-based closing. And he's accepted the pricing as what it is. It makes sense for the type of window. He's embraced it and makes the customer embrace it as well. I think it's brilliant. It doesn't matter what you do with the EPP or the halftime or all the other stuff. His basic line of reasoning is I give them everything they need to know throughout my appointment so that there is no objections of thinking about it. They told him at the end that that's the windows that they want to buy. He takes them down the path down, here's what it costs. And continually ask them questions to eliminate thinking about it. Because they've already told them, well, if you want to buy the windows, let's just make it affordable now. And he takes them down that path. So I love the fact that you were able to do this. I know that Brian was taking tons of notes because he wants to take what you created on your own and kind of incorporate it into training as we go forward. That's why we asked you to come in and do this today, because we've seen that you've got a skill set right now that you've developed on your own that seems to be working well for you. Going from just the non-traditional, from less than 16% to jumping almost at 30% tells you that you've doubled that over a short period of time because you spent the time putting in the effort. And we appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate the feedback. One thing really maybe the last story I'm going to share with you, then let you go. How much time do we have, actually? I don't want to bother you.
I'm going 5 hours.
It's already almost 12.
Yeah, it's almost time.
It's like with the customer, right? You sit there 4 hours later, holy moly, it's been here for 4 hours. So, one thing really what also opened my eyes is something what I experienced by accident in like about 20 years ago. But I realized that working here with the price statement, right? And that is really, if you really think about it, when a human being wants something, desires something, price becomes either secondary or neglectable. Just think about that for a minute. If price would be always the first thing we are thinking about, then nobody would buy a Ferrari. It doesn't make sense to a $500,000 car when my $5,000 car does the same job. Right? So, but it's a desire, what comes with it. So, and here's a quick story. What I really realized just recently. So when it's about 20 years ago, when I came to the States from Germany, when I met my wife, we met literally in New York on the street. Okay. So walking down the street to a coffee shop. And so we stayed in contact 20 years ago by email. I had a cell phone. She had a cell phone by two that cost like both of them, right? Because both of us, a lot of minutes. It was like $1,800 a month on phone bill, right? Plus, I flew back and forth every month for a week. So I was self-employed back then. So I didn't work for a week in Germany, only 3 weeks. So I made lesser money. And I flew here to see her, $1,000 for the flight ticket. So I spent roughly $3,000 a month to see her. Was that a financial good decision?
No.
Heck no. Did I spend it willingly because I wanted to see? Oh, heck yeah. It was worth it for me, right? But that really kind of like opened my opened my eye. You know, if you really, really want something, then you put the effort in and price becomes secondary. So if you look at the customer, you have that conversation with the customer, that you really talk about the issues they face right now with their windows and the pain if they don't move forward with you. You have that conversation with them. They want these windows because they want the results. They don't really want our windows. They want rather the results, what comes with that. And price becomes secondary. It's like, you know, if somebody wants to drill a hole in the wall and now they go to Walmart or Home Depot, they don't buy the hole. They buy a drill. What gets them the hole? Yeah. Right? But the result is they want the hole. The same like, just think about it. That's the same what we talk about with the customer. So they're not really buying our window. They buy the comfort, the quality, the resale value of the house. It's the only window where people get excited when they sell the house. By the way, they have renewed my Anderson. You know, if you sell a house or buy a house and the realtor will tell you, hey, it's 10-year-old one-stack windows, right? Well, they got this done 10 years ago. I got to do it again now in 5 years, right? 8 years. Right? So it is so many things what this product brings on quality. So we can touch up on really every aspect, every pain aspect, every desire, every result the customer wants. Our product solves that. We just have to find out what's their want, what's their desire, what they want. And prices become something. Because again, what happens if they don't do it right the first time? Right? It's more expensive to do it wrong because then you got to do it twice. Okay? That's all I got.